Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Thrones from Forge 20 Podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, joined once again by my best friend Zach, and we are both excited to once again continue our adventure on this campaign with you. Before we get started, just a few little housekeeping announcements because although we have had weekly uploads, it's been some time for us in the real world since we've sat down at this table to record an episode of Thrones. There has been a lot going on for the both of us in the last few weeks. I started a new job. Zach has some stuff going on outside of the table that have taken a lot of attention from the both of us to other things. We both have a lot less time and a lot less availability, so a few changes had to be made. One, we have decided to go back to the original editing style, where it's more raw and it is more true to what you experience at the D&D table, and that just makes it easier for Zach because he is the only editor we have. There's only the two of us at the table at a time running the campaign or playing. He doesn't have the time with what he has going on and working to edit videos that are 2 or 3 hours long down to 30 minutes with all the effects. So we're going to go back to the original style for a little while. Hopefully we can get back to the old style eventually, but it's going to be one of those things that once we have more time and maybe once we have more resources or more people underneath the banner and helping out, which would be awesome. Other than that, as far as the quality of audio, which is something I talked about a few weeks ago, I think it was episode 7 that I brought this up, that I was going to be getting a new mic. I do have a new mic, kindly provided by Zach. I just, as aforementioned, I haven't had a lot of free time to set this up. And that's no excuse in some ways, but in other ways, I have other things going on outside this table. I have a career, I have a new career, I have a 3-year-old with special needs, and I have a relationship that I like to keep happy. So I want to make sure that I attend to all of these things. All of these responsibilities come first before this. This is my hobby, my passion, Zach's passion, and we want to give it as much attention as we can, but as men, we have to pay attention to other things. So my audio will improve once I get the time to set up this new mic and I get a more permanent location for my sort of casting experience for Forge 20. And once that happens, brand new mic, quality will go up. I promise you I'm working on it. I just have to have the time and the availability to set things up. Zach, do you have any housekeeping announcements you want to make real quick?
No, but you know what? You said you were gonna be kind of like dodgy about it. I'm getting married, y'all, so like that's gonna take up a shit ton of time. That's what's going on. So, yeah. Really appreciate everyone who's taken the time to watch. Don't worry, we're still gonna be pumping out content no matter what happens. I have backup plans on backup plans on backup plans.
The weekly uploads won't change. We'll still be uploading whether it's Lodranth or Thrones, but still doing the alternating schedule. That won't change. We tend to keep an episode or two ahead of time, so if something does come up, we are ahead of schedule so that we will be able to get you the videos and the streams as regularly scheduled. And yes, I did dodge around Zach's business, but that was because it's Zach's business. I'd rather he tell you than I tell you.
Hell yeah.
But yes, congratulations to Zach and congratulations to Melanie. Everyone listening, I'm sure, and myself are also proud and so happy for you guys. I'm especially very happy. I've got to see this from the very beginning, before it even really began, when it was just minor, things here and there. Oh, I like this girl, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to say too much, but very happy for both of y'all, and I cannot wait. It's going to be a very special day. So maybe we'll do a wedding or a special wedding D&D theme stream or some shit like that. I don't know.
You know what? We should do a one-shot that takes place at a wedding, and we should have Melanie on the podcast.
That sounds awesome. We could do that.
I'll talk to her and see if she wants to do it. So nothing's set in stone, guys. Don't get too excited, but we'll see.
We'll try to figure something out. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get this recap started. Once we get done with the recap, we get back into the game. So, last we left off, Daedallus and Alastair had successfully gone to Nomengard and found that a mimic had assimilated itself amongst the population of the people of Nomengard. With some investigation, some very careful perception checks, the two of them were able to kind of discover a location that might contain the mimic. They've tracked it, they managed to corner it in an area that they thought it would be in when they witnessed the mimic in its full power. Consuming a gnome unexpectedly in front of the two of them, in one bite, the gnome was gone. Merely a scream, silenced in an instant, was all that was heard. Daedallus and Alastair, with their quick thinking, quick blades, and quick skills, they dispatched the mimic. With the dispatching of the mimic, they were able to gain audience with the kings of Nomengard and negotiate on the maester's behalf of Phandelin, Arben Wester, to get a trade agreement going between the two settlements. With looming threat of the dragon, the two settlements will need to work together to keep each other safe and to deal with the threat. And so they've agreed to negotiate some trade with the Maester, and they've also agreed to work together to bring the dragon down. Alastair and Daedallus now are on their way back to the town of Phandelin to let Arben Wester know, having just woken up not too long ago from the rest and beginning to get back on the road. And so we'll pick up there, where the two titular heroes of our story are now journeying to the town of Phandelin. They're currently only about a mile away from it. The town is well within sight. They can see that the early morning crowd has already begun its day, and you see farmers that have begun to set up their stalls in the market. Some are even open already, and you see that there are many people that have already begun their errands for the day, and people have gone to work. The forges are lit, the tavern is being cleaned, and you can hear the bell ringing for the early morning townsgoers. Alastair, as you are about a mile away from the town, Daedallus kind of turns and poses a question to you. He turns his head and looks back at the town. So what do you think? After all this, even if we manage to help this town complete these tasks, do you think they really stand a chance against this dragon?
Alastair for a moment thinks on this question. Kind of staring into the sky, kind of squints his eyes a little bit. And he turns to Daedalus as they're walking. He says, I truly don't think these people could protect themselves. A dragon, at least based on the readings I've done on dragons, are very powerful creatures, to put it bluntly. And well, this town isn't heavily populated enough to be able to withstand a dragon attack. I fully believe that this dragon could wipe them out. But the more help we can get, the better.
Daedalus nods in agreement with you. He responds with his own little diatribe, and you see as he takes a moment to look at the town. Well, they may not be able to defeat the dragon themselves, but they are beginning to garner some allies. And maybe we can find enough people to join the cause that we can do enough to stop the dragon, or at least repel it. I believe you told Lady Adabra the last time we were here that we would go speak to Aelin Kazan, the former commander at Icespire Peak. Perhaps we could get him to join the cause.
Perhaps. Maybe he'll have a little bit of experience he can share with us as well, so that maybe it could become useful information for us to use.
He is the sole survivor of the attack at the fort at Icespire Peak. Any information about the dragon he could provide is valuable. Perhaps he will even know of a way to defeat the dragon, or perhaps a weakness, something to be exploited, something he noticed. But as the Maester said, he has not left his house in some time. He must have seen some horrific things.
Alastair smirks for a moment. Well, seems like a perfect job for a future knight like you, Daedalus, and he kind of pats you on the back of your plate mail armor that you're wearing.
Daedalus smiles. Well, I don't think knights are meant to be rescuing damsels in distresses in manners, but very well. Perhaps I can go save Aelin as I once did you.
And this time,
Convince him to.
you'll have some help.
And this time, hopefully, there won't be a need for violence. We won't go careening out of a window and get in a scuffle like that ever again. At least not with somebody I barely know.
You can't lie, it's a little exhilarating, though, is it not?
What, getting a concussion? Getting
Touché.
blasted with ice?
Touché.
It probably was fun for you to blast me with ice and wash my face as oh, he has magic, oh, yes. I'm sure it's quite amusing.
Maybe it's a little more personalized for me because it helps me let off some steam, I guess.
As you say this, Daedalus nods, and he looks towards the town as you guys are beginning to approach. You see, you guys at this point are pretty much at the town's, not necessarily gates, the borders of the town, we'll say, because there's not really even a wall here. As you approach the borders of the town, you see that the already lively from the distance town has begun to have even more sprung to it. Children have begun to play. You see a few different people that are familiar to you. You see the maester has begun doing his rounds around the town. He's currently rounding the bend of the main street back towards his own town hall. You also see Nib and Botfizzle. You can see him in the distance at his shop. You see him outside, sitting on his cushion, floating around. You also see broom and a dustpan that are magically working themselves, cleaning up the floor of the patio outside. You see Nibbin is quite smug, and as he looks down and watches them work, you see every once in a while he'll flick a finger, say a word, and they do something different, a different way. They'll dump the proverbial garbage into the garbage. But nonetheless, he seems quite pleased with himself. In the distance, you do see Lady Adabra hanging some form of drapery from her windmill balcony. Is there anything that you wish to do, Alastair?
Well, you said that Harbin Wester, the maester of the town's kind of out and about. Alastair just wants to get that business out of the way. So Alastair will kind of turn to Daedalus and he'll say, why don't we go talk to the maester first,
Daedalus nods. Very well. To the maester, then. As the two of you make your way to the maester's hall, you can hear him inside. You hear that the maester, he seems to be scuffling around inside. Not anything crazy. He's not like knocking things over or anything like that. You can just hear him moving from within. You approach the doors. They're open currently for anyone and everyone to come in as they please. Obviously, it is the town hall in midday, or early day, excuse me. As you go in first, Daedalus follows behind you. The maester turns and looks towards us. Ah, Alastair. Welcome back. And Daedalus, you too. What news of Nomengard?
Your mimic issue in Nomengard has been dealt with thoroughly.
Any news about a potential trade?
Good news there. We were able to sway the kings of Nomengard to open trade communication with you and your town. Hopefully this will help bring some more power to help you defend against the dragon.
You see the maester nods. Good, very good. I will have a message prepped and sent to them with a proposal for trade between the two of us. I appreciate your work. And you see as he moves over to a desk in the corner of the room, He reaches under this dark oak desk, and you see him pull a drawer out. He reaches in and he pulls out a black sort of fabric pouch, and he tosses it over to you. And your reward, as promised.
Alastair opens it up. What's inside?
You see the inside of this is the other half of gold that was promised from the Maester when we first left. Because if I recall correctly, I may recall wrong, I do believe that he was to give us the other half of the payment once we got the job done. I think he gave us a little bit of sum up front. But in total, I believe it was supposed to be 40 gold.
Okay, so I think we got 20 up front because we got asked for half
so
up front.
another
So we would
gold,
each get 10. Alastair immediately just counts through each piece, hands half of it to Daedallus.
Daedalus takes it, graciously nodding at you, placing it into his own coin purse. The Maester then, after letting you situate yourselves, once again, thank you for this. Have you gone and perhaps spoken with Aelin Kazan?
No, but that is on the agenda.
He nods, and you see him kind of look away. This is good to know. His wife was in earlier this morning. The first person I saw after I woke up, actually. Apparently, Aelin has been in distress after the sighting of the white dragon over the town a few days ago. She asked if I would go and speak with him, but now that you intend to as well, I will allow you to go first. Perhaps you will have more luck than I have. I have already tried in the past. You see, he sort of solemnly looks down.
Alastair does a slight bow. I will see if my words can sway Aelin Kazan. Perhaps we could use his assistance to help fight against the dragon.
Daedalus kind of remarks after you say that. Perhaps he can help us find others within the town that will join us as well. If the captain of a guard will join us, perhaps others will follow suit. A militia will need more than 2 men. The Maester smiles and kind of nods. Daedalus bows after he sees that Alastair had bowed before he realizes he hasn't. He bows. And then the Maester returns the bow to the two of us. If I have any more work for you, I will reach out. But for now, I appreciate your work up to this point. Thank you both.
Of
Daedalus
course.
then turns to leave.
Alastair follows suit.
Alright. So after the two of you leave the Maester's abode in the town hall, Daedalus steps out into the town streets, the sort of flattened paved dirt road. You see Daedalus takes in the sun as it's now approaching, not quite midday, just a bit before, probably around 11. You see him kind of look up towards the sun as he looks towards the edge of town where the Kazan family home resides after. He poses a question to you as he sees you approach. Do you think I should be the one to talk to him, or do you think you should? I really don't know if a dragonborn should be the one talking to a man that is petrified of dragons.
I think it's best if I do the talking, Daedalus.
I do as well. Daedalus nods, and you see him kind of smile.
Alastair looks to be in deep thought about something.
Daedalus kind of squints at him. What's on your mind, Alastair?
The Maester. Something he said stuck out to me. Or something that was actually brought up in that conversation in general. A militia. It got me thinking. Who would lead this militia? Because let's be honest, the Maester, I can just tell by looking at him. I don't think he could lead an army.
Daedalus looks at you. Well, I mentioned to him that the two of us hardly make a whole militia. But the two of us would probably have to be the ones to lead it. Maybe Aelin could, if he's not a mess, is the word I'll use in this case. If he's not a mess when we find him, perhaps he would lead it. But as of right now, there's you, and there's me. The whole of the... You see him quote with his two taloned fingers on each hand, militia.
Well, I guess we better start recruiting our militia then.
Daedalus nods. Aelin will be a good start. As the two of you begin heading towards the Khazarn family home, you see as you approach, you see a woman outside on the patio. She's on some sort of a rocking porch chair. She's probably in her 30s, human woman, auburn-colored hair. And you see her sitting there, and on the porch with her are two young children. You see a young boy with raven-colored hair and a little girl with auburn-colored hair like her mother's. And the two little children are playing with some toys and around each other. As you approach this, I would say it's a traditional one-story sort of wooden cabin that they reside in. You see she looks over as she recognizes us, but recognizes that two people are approaching. She looks up. Can I help you?
Hello. My name is Alastair Darkheart. This is my compatriot, Daedallus. We're here to speak with Aelin Khazarn.
She kind of sighs for a moment, and she looks down at her crochet that she's been working. You're who the Maester sent.
That's right.
I asked for him himself. Aelin won't speak to anyone he doesn't know. Hardly speaks to those who does know. The children and I are frightened. Do you know what plagues my husband?
Alastair kind of looks her dead in the eye with his one eye and says, I know what he's going through all too well.
She nods. Well then, you understand that for no reason, and for no one, will he leave this house. He is both terrified of the dragon and terrified of facing it. He would rather the dragon blow down our doors and destroy this whole town before he opens up and faces the world again. If you think you can talk sense into my husband, get him to leave this home to experience the world again, so that I, his wife, and his children can enjoy his presence while we have it, I would be in your debt. I have no gold, I have nothing to give you, other than my gratitude.
That's all I require of you, ma'am. And Alastair bows.
She stands up from her chair, sets down her crochet work on the chair that she just stood up from. She motions towards the door and opens it for the two of us. You two can go in. You do not need me to accompany you. I do not wish to see him currently. This morning he awoke in a sort of fit, a rage of some form, like he was still there. He thought I was his companion, his friend Isaiah. He held me down and screamed, "Follow my orders. Don't leave. Follow my orders." Isaiah. He didn't recognize his own wife. On you, he can be violent at times. He doesn't mean to be. But a part of my husband is still at Icespire Peak. Do you understand?
I do.
She motions for us to head inside then. Daedalus looks at you and motions his taloned hand forward like, after you, buddy. I'm not going in first.
Alastair kind of makes sure his head is turned away from the the woman and kind of like smirks at Daedalus a little bit as he walks through the door first.
As you enter the home, it is very dimly lit. There are but one or two candles scarcely placed throughout the place. You can see one sitting in the sort of dining area where a large table sits for about 4 people, maybe 5 or 6 if there's guests. You can see the kitchen where there's a fireplace and a cauldron that was once brewing something. It sits unused currently. No flame is lit, and you hear no presence of anyone in the house currently. What do you do?
Alastair's just going to bluntly call out his name. Aelin Kazan.
You hear nothing in response.
Alastair's going to slowly investigate the room that he's in and like the immediate passageways that are within his line of sight to see if he sees a figure anywhere.
Go ahead and roll me a perception check or an investigation, your choice.
Let's do perception. I have +1. 13.
13. So as you begin to investigate the house and you sort of check in with your surroundings, you see to either side of you, to the left and to the right, is a small hallway on either side, one leading to a room on the left side and a room on the right side. And then on the other side of the room, you see a pathway that leads to one door on the left, no doors on the right. As you look around between these 3 rooms, you see glimmering from beneath the sort of door jamb.
I'm sorry, you cut out there. What'd you say was glimmering under the door jamb? You kind of cut out.
Glimmering light.
Okay.
Beneath the door jamb. Forgive me.
On which hallway? The one with the both doors to the left and the right, or the one with just the door to the left?
The single one.
Okay. Alastair's going to go down towards the hallway where the glimmering is coming from the singular door.
Okay. As you begin to venture towards the hallway, Daedalus recognizes that you're that door. Daedalus looks towards the front door, and as he reaches out, he shuts it behind him, as if signaling that he's going to make sure nobody leaves. Crazy happens. He then slowly walks up to the middle of the room, does not follow you down the hallway. He just stands a respectful distance away, just kind of monitoring who comes in and out of the house, as he's going to business. As you walk closer and closer to the room, go ahead and roll me another perception check real quick.
Natural 1.
As you move closer to the room, all you see still is the glimmering light from beneath the door. You kind of put your ear up to the door itself and listen in, but you hear no noise coming. You look back at Daedalus. Daedalus looks at you and he opens his eyes wide a little bit and then, puts them back to normal, waves his hand towards the door, and you see him kind of grit his teeth as if to say, come on, open the fucking door.
And Alastair is going to slowly grab the whatever machination opens the door handle, just push it, whatever. He's going to open the door and see what's inside.
So you reach down, you grab the door handle, and you give it a turn. Immediately it clicks, and it begins to open slowly at your sort of command. As the door opens, this room has but one candle in the center of it, and you see to the right side in a corner a man seated on the ground in a sort of fetal position. He's on the ground, his butt is on the ground, and he's got his knees up to his chest and his arms wrapped around his knees. You see the man has dark colored hair. It's very disheveled all over, hasn't been brushed, touched in any way in probably weeks. And you see the man is just sitting quietly as he looks down at the ground, or at the ground before him. Hasn't even recognized your presence entering the room.
Alastair somberly looks over him for a moment. He kind of lets out an audible sigh. This is kind of like triggering in a way for him, because he understands what Aylin's going through. It might not be the same exact situation, but he definitely understands the pain of loss. And Alastair begins to speak. Aylin Kazan, I heard about you from...
Oh, forgive me, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Aylin Kazan, I heard about you from Elia. And my path has led me here to you. I heard you valiantly faced a dragon and were the lone survivor to walk away. I know that you're probably in no position to hear a single damn word that I'm telling you right now. But I understand the loss that you're going through. I'm not sure if you've heard of the Darkheart family before, but we take lordship over the neighboring town of Darkvale. And for the last couple of years, my family went missing. I lost them all, and I was the sole survivor. And just like you, I locked myself in a dark room, hoping no one would ever find me. But sometimes you need to be pulled out of the darkness, Aylin. And I'm here to pull you from the darkness. Alastair gets on a knee right behind him and waits to see what Aylin says or does.
Roll a persuasion check.
Seven.
As your words are said, you feel as if, as they leave your mouth and they send across the room, they almost deflate and fall flat to the ground before him. The man does not move, and his expression does not change. He is sort of thousand-eyed or 1,000 yards staring at the ground before him. The only thing you notice at this point is that he's, maybe you didn't notice when you first came in, but he's shaking, trembling in a way.
Alastair sighs for a moment and just watches over him, recognizing all the symptoms. He knows what he's going through. He probably didn't hear a single damn word that he said. Alastair's gonna just sit there. And Alastair's gonna just wait patiently until maybe he stops shaking. Maybe he just keeps a close eye on him. We'll try to find a moment of vulnerability to have him open up.
A few moments pass. A few minutes. Until about 10-15 minutes passes, and you hear footsteps approaching this room you're in, this dimly lit room. You hear thump, 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 up to the door. and a knock. Thump, thump, thump. Do you say anything?
Alastair gets up. And he's going to just open the door bluntly.
As you open the door, Daedalus stands on the other side. Off to the side, though. Outside of Aylin's vision. Daedalus looks at you. Any luck?
Alastair shakes his head. No. I tried the empathy route. That didn't necessarily work. He's clearly having a post-traumatic episode of some kind. I experience these sometimes. Sometimes it's best to just let it ride out, and soon he'll come back to at least some sense of themselves.
As you say this, Daedalus kind of tilts his head. Or perhaps this is something maybe a little bit more bluntness could handle. And he kind of raises an eyebrow, as if suggesting he could go in there.
Alastair scratches his head for a moment. Well, I'm not gonna lie, Daedalus. A little bit of fear kicked me in the ass and made me want to fight you. You threw me out of a 2-story window. We both almost died. Fuck it, why not? He opens the door.
As you say these things, Daedalus kind of nods and he closes his eyes. He nods. Yeah, I did throw you out a window, and he shrugs his shoulders. Yeah, that did work. Okay. Daedalus says before he walks in, I'm not throwing this man out to any windows with his children outside.
No, I wouldn't.
I promise you that.
I wouldn't let you do that. No.
Daedalus then steps into the doorway, and you allow him to step in, and he steps in, dump, and another step, dump, and then one final one, dump, before he's about a quarter of the way into the room, a few feet. As he does this, you see the man, his eyes look up from the ground to Daedalus. His eyes widen, and you, at first, you think maybe he's going to begin to speak to him, maybe he recognizes him, but you see in his expression pure horror as the man screams out, Get away! Get away, thou dragon! Oh! And he starts to crawl into the corner, and he's clawing at everything around him, knocking the furniture that's next to him. It's a nightstand. It falls to the ground. You see that the candle that was next to him has been blown out from the commotion. You see him clawing at the ground, just trying to get away. There's nowhere to go. Get away! Get away! You took them, and now you've come for me! Please! Please, no! Daedalus, his eyes widen, and he puts his hands out, and he looks back at you. Alastair. What? And then the man screams again. Please, you already took them. Please. Just don't take my family. Just take me already and get it over with. Please. I know you've come for me. I saw you patrolling the skies. You've come. What are you talking about? Daedalus looks at you, and he starts to step backwards slowly out of the room. As Daedalus exits the room and very quickly shuts the door, you hear the man wailing and crying inside. Daedalus looks at you. I think I really messed that one up.
Alastair puts his hand up and slowly approaches Aelin. And he gets to his level, on his knee again, in front of him. It seems you like your family, You love them.
He says nothing.
You cherish them. But look, this Dragonborn isn't even trying to attack you, yet you cower in a corner, Aelin Kazan. I was told that you were a leader. That you led men into battle, representing the Lord's Alliance, the highest order in this land. Yet you cowered and allowed, well, a dragon, quote-unquote, with his hands, to, quote-unquote, kill you. But you truly know that a dragon, after it kills you, it would probably kill your family too. So why would you not stand up and fight like a leader? You see Alastair's really tense. He's balling his fist. It doesn't look like he's about to strike. It just looks like that this is hitting a little too close to home for him, maybe.
Roll a persuasion check. Or an intimidation, whichever you prefer.
Oh, shit. Well, you said intimidation. I was low-key trying to intimidate him, but I'll take the 8, I guess.
Then go ahead and roll intimidation. No, go ahead and roll intimidation.
That's a little better. 15.
15. As you say this, you see the man has stopped shaking. The Lord's Alliance. Have they come to help us?
Alastair pauses for a minute. No, but word is being sent out. And, well, I would say the appropriate enforcements are coming from the Lord's Alliance, and we are actually ourselves trying to build a militia to fight back against the dragon. And to be honest, I don't know anybody in this town who has first-hand experience with a dragon. That's why I sought you out.
You see him you see a tear go down his eye. He has been crying as he's been shaking, but you see a tear come down his eye as he sort of smiles in a way. You want me to go out there? You want me to go out there again? Where the dragon is, the thing that killed everyone I knew at that fort. Someone I considered a brother. Killed because of me and my incompetence. And now, you come in here, men I know not of, and you want me to show this incompetence again and risk my family. I've already lost one. I don't want to lose another. Not at my own incompetencies. It's all my fault.
It's not your fault. Let me ask you this. Did you, with your bare hands, kill your men?
He shakes his head.
Then you are not responsible for their deaths. That dragon is. That dragon is strong. Though some of us might be smaller and have less power, people like us, we do better in numbers. The more that we have to fight back, the more powerful we become. Being in the Lord's Alliance, you should know that. Aelin Kazarn, I would like you to join us.
You want me to join you in a militia? Why? Why someone who failed his only men? It is my duty to die if the fort is taken. And instead another took my place. You see as he looks away. As he looks away, you hear Daedallus, who has now entered the doorway again. He speaks up. Do their sacrifices mean nothing to you? If they died in your place, if they died for you, so that you may live. Do not let their sacrifices be in vain. If it was your duty to die in that fort, then fulfill that duty. Help us. Help us avenge those men. Help us take back that fort. And God's damn it, help us kill that dragon or die trying. Alastair, go ahead and roll me persuasion check, this time with advantage.
Yeah!
This is for you and Daedallus both.
20. Unnatural.
Well, a 20. We'll take it. That's okay. That's between you and Daedalus, because you both gave him a little... He sits there, and after you finish your words, you see him kind of... The tears have stopped once you finished your remarks, and he retorted with what he had to say. And after Daedalus speaks, he looks up, and for the first time, he looks you in the eyes. Daedalus, you said you were from Darkvale.
Yes.
You said that you know Elia.
Yes.
Elia Redmore.
Fiancé of Isaiah Redmore.
Her fiancé. Isaiah. He was my second in command. He was my brother. But what you and the Dragonborn say is true. If I don't want my men's sacrifices to be in vain, I must do something about this dragon. And if I want to prevent my family from falling to the same fate, I must act. He looks at you, Alastair Darkheart. And he puts his hand out. Aelin Kazan, commander of the Night's Watch, of the Lord's Alliance, at Icespire Peak. Well, former. But it is a pleasure to meet you, as he holds his hand out to you.
Alastair extends his hand and firmly shakes Aelin's hand. Alastair Darkheart, it is a pleasure to meet you, Aelin Kazan.
Daedalus walks further into the room. And I am Daedalus. And Daedalus moves over and grabs his other arm and lifts him, and he lifts you to your feet as well. Well, Aelin, I think it's time that you went outside and saw your family with some clarity. Aelin kind of looks out towards the window. Yes. Yes, it's time that I join them out there. And you see as he walks past the two of you towards the exit, he leaves the room, and you assume he starts heading towards the front door. Daedalus looks at you. I think you were right. About him. And he starts walking out and starts following Aelin.
Alastair sits there for a second and kind of smirks and nods his head as he walks forward.
As you follow Daedalus and Aelin out of the house by his wife and his children lovingly run up and embrace him. Daddy! And they grab his legs, and his wife stands up. Well, someone decided to join the living again, and she smiles, and she embraces her husband as well. As the two of you walk out behind Aelin, you kind of shuffle to the right, just outside of the family group hug, and you kind of awkwardly make your way around. After the long embrace and some tears shed between the four of them, Aelin looks over finally, and then his wife. The children turn as well. Aelin looks over at the two of us. Allow me some time to adjust. Let me get my bearings and cleanse myself of the filth. But once I have, I will speak with the maester and let him know that a proper militia will be formed here in Phandelin. But I will still need your help, as you promised.
You have my word.
And mine. And Daedallus nods. As you see Aelin smile, his wife begins to speak. Thank you. Thank you both. Let us know when the two of you are free for an evening and you can join us for a hot meal. It would be an excellent celebration for my husband that has decided to join the living again. She smiles as she reaches up and begins rubbing his shoulder with her hand. Now, why don't you go inside, because although you've decided to join the living, you still smell like the dead. And 2 weeks worth of filth doesn't come off easy. You see him smile. All right, come on, children. As he motions his two children inside the house, back at Alastair and Daedallus, and he nods, and he goes inside his home.
As they go back inside their home, Alastair's kind of just going to turn to Daedalus and then speak. He's going to say something. Seems like him and this Isaiah had a great relationship and called him brother. What's it like to have a brother? I had a sister. Do you know Daedalus?
Daedalus looks at you. Roll an insight check before I describe what you see.
Let's go.
Natural 20. All right, I have to tell you the truth because you incited it correctly, I guess. As you ask this question, you see Daedalus looks at you, and he's not quick to answer. You see him think for a moment, and you see a pain in his eyes as he looks down at the ground. For a moment, and he quickly looks back up at you. No, I do not know what that is like to have a brother. And then he turns around and begins walking away. Once he finishes answering, you can tell he is definitely hiding something. But you also see a pain in what he hides.
Alastair isn't going to pry any further. He doesn't want to upset Daedalus or anything like that, so he's just going to nod and kind of just walk forward. He'll probably bring it up at a later date.
As the two of you leave the Khazarn home, you see it's almost approaching the afternoon now at this point. Daedalus turns to you as the two of you approach the center of the town. Well, I suppose now would be a good time to check back in with Lady Adabra. She did ask us to go and speak with Aelin Khazarn after all.
Yes, let us do that. Let us go visit her.
As Daedalus and Alastair approach the windmill, you can see Lady Adabra's up on the second-story balcony. She is reading some kind of scroll. You can see a concerned look on her face. As she then recognizes the two of us approaching, she waves down at us. Alastair, Daedalus. Impeccable timing as always. Come, join me. As she motions for us to join her on the second story. Daedalus quickly enters. Do you follow suit?
Alastair follows suit.
As the two of you make your way upstairs, you see Lady Adabra is sitting next to a small table, and next to that small table is another chair that is empty. Daedalus motions for you to sit there as he will take a position on the opposite side, sort of leaning up against the exterior of the windmill.
So, Lady Adabra, you looked a little concerned reading whatever you were reading up there. What were you taking a look at?
Well, before I get into this, what news of Nomengard?
Ah, yes, Nomengard. So we helped them with a bit of a mimic problem, and that helped us get in good graces with the two kings, who are now open to us opening trade between Phandelin and Nomengard. So good progress being made there, and also we met Alan Kazarn as well.
Ah, that is good. Did you get through to him, perhaps?
We did, together. And, well, the plan is for him to start forming a militia here in Phandelin to help protect against the dragon while we try to gather more powerful allies.
He nods, and we see a very eager smile go across her face. This is most excellent news. I do not wish to bring upon gray clouds on such a sunny occasion, but I think it's best that you read this, Alastair. You see she hands over a scroll to you. And you see this scroll is very small, first off. It's not quite a large, scroll with lots of writing on it. It's but a small page that's been frilled up very small that could fit into an envelope. You see that this scroll, and in very small handwriting, very poor handwriting, you see, help. Help us.
This is interesting.
Yes.
This looks like it was written by a child. Where did this come from?
A courier earlier this morning. They were in quite a rush to get here. He looked like he had been running for some time. The man had letters for me from the Chantry, but dropped this off in addition. He said on his way here that he saw fire and smoke near the town of Leylon. As he approached, he found this letter along the roadside of the village. He opened it and read what was inside, and he decided it best that he got this in the hands of someone who could properly investigate the situation. So he brought it here, to me, and now I have given it to you, in hopes that perhaps the two of you could investigate this for us. There are children there, clearly, and they may be in danger. Leylon is a peaceful town. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you're fine. Alastair closes the piece of paper. A peaceful town, burned to flame. Lady Adabra, no offense, I hate to cut you off, but this sounds like it's quite urgent. I think me and Daedalus, if we're going to handle this, we need to leave now.
See, Lady Adabra nods. I agree. I will see you both when you return. Here, take this.
Huh? Oh, what is it?
Forgive me, Alastair, I do not mean to interfere with what you had to say, but if you two are going somewhere, you see she reaches up and she stands up and starts moving over to her pantry. She starts reaching in and grabbing a few bags. You'll need rations, and you'll need water. And she starts putting some things into our bags. She hands us 2 small burlap sacks. Here, some rations and some water for your travels.
Oh, Lady Adabra, there's really, please let me pay you for this. And Alastair starts to rummage through his.
She puts her hand up. No. You've done far too much for me in this town already.
Alastair stops rummaging through the bag for a moment, and he raises a hand and ties it back up. Only because you insisted. And he kind of bows.
I will see you both when you return. If you have any survivors, bring them here. It does not matter the number. We will attend to them, either here at the windmill or in the town.
I understand. Lady Adabra, thank you. Truthfully. You see a look of sincerity in Alastair's eyes. His cheeks maybe are a little flushed in this moment.
She nods. She goes, "You're very welcome, Alastair. Now go. The people will need you."
Well, Daedallus, let's make haste. As Alastair starts putting the new rations and water away into his sack. Let's get going then, Daedalus.
Daedalus throws his new baggage over his shoulder that Lady Adabra has given to the both of you. He throws his own normal traveling bags over his other shoulder. He nods at Lady Adabra. "Thank you, Lady Adabra." He looks at you, Alastair. "Well, let's get going."
Alastair nods.
And that is where... Oh, go ahead.
You're good. That's all I wanted to do.
After you nod, and the two of you motion out the door to make your way down to Leylon, that is where we will end tonight's session. Next week, we will get back to Tales of Lodrianth, I believe. If not, we will have an episode of Thrones ready for you. In our next installment of Thrones, you will see the introduction of a new member of our party. I'm very excited for this character. This is probably the longest ran character at any table we have. This is like the never-ending character. This guy always comes back. He never dies. But this is a totally different campaign. It's my brother's favorite character, so I'm very excited for y'all to meet this character, to meet the person playing them, and hopefully to see what they add to the story, because they have a huge mythos to bring with them and a different aspect to bring to this party. But that being said, I want to thank you all for being here. Your continued support is very, very appreciated, and we cannot say enough how much it means to us. If you would like to follow us on our social medias, Instagram, Facebook, we have both. If you'd like to follow us on TikTok, we have that as well. And of course, we have our own Discord and we have a Patreon. So if you're interested in supporting the channel and helping us grow, helping us get better equipment so we can provide better streams, provide better audio, things like that, it's always encouraged. Check it out, because we've got lots of interesting stuff there for you, exclusive one-shots and early postings of videos before they come out. But that being said, thank you all so much, and I want to thank our Patreon supporters, the ones that we have. First off, our very first supporter, Melanie Droz. Soon to be Melanie Cold Iron. So excited for you guys.
Thanks, man.
Very, very happy for y'all, and thank you, Melanie, for your support. And then to our next two supporters, Melanie Cocciolone and Anakin Groce. Anakin, I hope you're listening in the future, because you're only 3 years old right now. But I hope you're listening in the future, and I hope you know that Daddy loves you very much. You're his whole world, and I hope one day you do listen to these. And Mel, thank you for all your support, and thank you for listening to every episode. It means so much to me, because your support is why I'm able to do it, and why I'm able to have the time to do this. So thank you.
Yeah.
We love all three of you so much, and we love all of you who aren't Patreon supporters but still listen to the channel. You're all loved. and you're important to us. So, that being said, y'all have a great day.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.